Okay, so here is my assignment 2 on gateway development using BLE and MQTT. So this JavaScript here, developed on Genie, runs on my Raspberry Pi and sits between the Pico W and the cloud MQTT broker, which I have on this screen here. On one side, it talks to the Pico over Bluetooth low energy, and on the other side, it talks to my Hive MQ cloud using MQTT. The gateway has two main jobs. It reads data from my Pico. In this case, it will be my red, green, blue values and my accelerometer values, and it publishes them to MQTT topics. It listens for MQTT commands from the cloud and sends those down to the Pico, for example, to control the RGB LEDs. So at the top of the file, I require the MQTT library and define it, MQTT options. Then I create my client. I create my client. This actually connects the gateway to the broker. I define a few MQTT topics in which I have my red, green, blue status, control, value, and the accelerometer readings, which are published there. When the MQTT client connects, it subscribes to the RGB control topic. That means any message published to RGB control in my Hive MQ will be forwarded to this script, as I said, from the Hive MQ. So, BLE setup and UUIDs. Next, I import my create Bluetooth, which I have here, from the Node BLE library, so I can use my Bluetooth low energy from Node. I specify the MAC address of my Pico W, which is here, which is from a previous project. It's called Babyface in relation to these Toy Story characters. So as I said, I specify the MAC address, then I define the UUIDs for the custom BLE service. That's the device on the Pico. The service UUID is the very first one, which is 0x1480 and converted into hexadecimal is that. We have the voltage characteristic, the LED characteristic, the RGB control, the status, and the value read from the BLE, and then last but not least, the accelerometer characteristic. So yeah, the main MQTT logic is in this MQTT client dot on bracket message handler. Whenever a message arrives in the broker, I first check that the topic is my RGB BJ control. If it's not that topic, I ignore it. I also check that RGB car is not null. That means the BLE side must be connected and the RGB characteristic must have been found. Otherwise, I can't send anything to the Pico. The message from MQTT is expected to be in the format of value, value, value. The first being, so red, green, blue, from 0 to 255. And I split the string by commas, convert each path to a number, and check that I got exactly 3 valid numbers. Then I build my 9-byte buffer. It repeats the same RGB values 3 times, one for each neopixel on the Pico. Finally, I recall my RGB car.write value to send those 9 bits over BLE to my Pico. If that succeeds, I log the new RGB value and publish a status message to the RGB status topic. So my main function so this sets up the BLE side of the gateway. First, it gets the default Bluetooth adapter and starts discovery. It waits until it finds the device with my MAC address of my Pico and logs the name so I know I've connected to the right one. Once the Pico is found, it stops discovery and connects to the device, and after connecting, it gets the GATT server and asks for the list of services. It checks that my custom service UUID is present. If it isn't, the function just returns. After confirming the service, the script called get primary service. Let me just find this. And then characteristics to get the list of characteristic UUIDs. Yeah, it checks for each one. For example, if the RGB UUID is present, it gets that characteristic and stores it in RGB car. And it does the rest for the rest of the characteristics. At this point, the node script has handles for the BLE characteristics in the Pico and can read or write the values. Now reading LED state and publishing to MQTT. If the LED characteristic was found, I interchange between LED and RGB. I know there is actual LED present on the board, but I'm just talking about the LEDs on the RGB. So if I interchange, apologies, but it's the same in practice. So the script first reads as flags just to log whether it supports read and write. Then it reads the current LED value from the Pico using read value. As I said, it then reads the current LED value from the Pico using read value. It logs this value in hex and publishes it to the RGB BJ val topic as RGB value read from Pico is, etc. There's also a set interval timer that repeats this every 5 seconds. So the gateway periodically rolls the LED state over BLE and publishing updated values to the broker. Reading my accelerometer values. If the accelerometer characteristic Excel car exists, the script starts another interval timer that runs every 500 milliseconds. Inside that timer, it calls Excel car read value to read 6 bytes from the Pico. These 6 bytes are 3 signed 16-bit integers representing the accelerometer X, Y, and Z values packed as HHH on the Pico side. The gateway unpacks them using my read int 16 ALIA offsets 0, 2, and 4. It logs the values as XYZ and then publishes them to the Excel BJ topic in the format XYZ. This means that in MQTT web client, I can subscribe to Excel BJ and see live accelerometer readings streamed from the Pico through the gateway to the cloud. So to summarize the whole file, the script connects to the MQTT broker in the cloud using the MQTT library. It connects to Pico W over BLE using the node BLE library. It discovers a custom BLE service on the Pico that exposes characteristics for RGB control, read, accelerometer, etc. It reads the RGB and accelerometer data from the Pico and publishes them to MQTT topics so they can monitor in the cloud. It subscribes to MQTT control topic, puts RGB commands in the broker and writes them to RGB characteristic over BLE to change the color of the NeoPixel strip. So now I will show you the code in function. So I tried to put my breadboard on as flat surface as possible just to get the accelerometer values as close to sort of 0 as possible, even though it's not realistic. So here it's called final.js. As we see, it's now connected to the broker, and I'm just going to actually exit first. Connected to the broker, waiting for messages on topic RGB control. It's got my device, MAC address, and shows the services here in the hexadecimal. And here you see all the services are assigned, the flags, the values, message, and yeah. So now let me run it again. So the same again, hopefully happen again. Now, as I will just turn to the very left to sort of see, and you'll see, yeah, so I'm going to turn it from left to right now. You can see the fluctuation there from negative to positive, all the way over to like its max, minus 16,000 to plus 16,000. And you can see the periodic RGB value is updated. So 0FF, that's and FF 000FF, etc. That is green. If we go over to my broker, the same messages are popping up on the broker, and I'm publishing currently from the topic RGB control. Right, so I've set it. Now the lights are going to dim. So I've set it to white, which is 255, 255, 255. I should now run the code. Here we go, back running. Shows that, yeah, the value read from the Pico is 00, or sorry, 0000. It's a periodic value, and then once I actually set it, it shows what I've set it to. And now I'm going to set this, and hopefully it'll change to red. Perfect. And now that should be it. Thank you.